Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. This is Suzi with Gemini Connect, and normally I'm here talking about my own camera gear, so you guys know all about my GoPros and Sony cameras, but I thought it'd be fun to talk to some other creators about cameras that they use. So today we have a very special guest. This is Shelby Church.
Hello.
She's got over 1.7 million subscribers on her main channel alone, and yeah, we can do a little intro and she can tell us about her camera gear.
Yes. Okay, so I've been doing YouTube for 13 or 14 years now, so I've used a bunch of different cameras in this time. And now I actually have 3 that I like switch between because they're all kind of good for different things. But the camera I started on was the Canon T3i, if you guys remember that camera.
Yeah.
Still love that thing because, I mean, I don't know what happened to the one that I had, but it was really good for its time. I was like, wow, these videos look so professional. So yeah, that's what I started with. So if you go back to my old videos, you can see, I guess, that quality.
So I guess to back up, how did you start to learn how to use your camera?
I started when I was really young. I just thought it was really fun. My dad actually found a little digital camera, like point and shoot, on the beach. And I thought it was the most fun thing to take videos and photos on it. Just, you know, when you're a kid and you can't drive yet and like you can't really go anywhere, this is what I would do in my free time. It's like take videos of the most random stuff. I would take it to gymnastics practice and do like an end of the year video. I always loved editing it together on Windows Movie Maker. Yeah, it was just a lot of fun to learn how, but they weren't very good videos. But yeah, eventually I just learned a lot Googling it on YouTube. I remember at the time Final Cut King was like a big like editor YouTuber who is now Zach King, who's like still really, really big creator on like all the platforms. But I learned a lot from his videos, and I went to Orange Coast College. I took some film classes there, but honestly, so much of what I've learned is just like on YouTube.
Yeah, I would agree. That's how I learned photography as well. Never took a formal class on photography. Definitely did not study it in school. It's just all learning and doing and executing. So,
yes.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, practicing and like, I don't know, some people have a really good eye for composing shots. I feel like I had to work at that.
Yeah, that's the hardest part, honestly, just composing.
Making it look like cinematic and nice,
All right, so after the Canon, what did you go to after that?
Okay, so from that Canon, I went to the Canon 5D Mark III. Mark III or 4?
Yeah, I had the Mark III, the DSLR. Yeah, I love that camera.
Yeah, I think the Mark III, I used that quite a bit. It didn't have a flip out screen, so it was always a little trickier. And then I got, what was it? I think it was the Canon 5D Mark IV. I think the Mark IV, this was the first time I was introduced to slow motion in 120 frames, and that was a game changer for me. Like, I use so much slow-mo. Even now, I still kind of use it, not as much, but I was like, oh my God, this is so cool. It made videos like really fun to make again. Yeah, the Canon 5D Mark IV. And now like all the cameras have that too.
Do you still have the Canon 5D Mark IV?
I do, yeah. I think I have it. I have it somewhere. I think it's like, I haven't used it in a long time, but it still is probably my best camera for taking photos, honestly, because the cameras I use for actually filming videos are not as good for that. After the 5D Mark IV, my sister introduced me to Panasonic, and I was very hesitant at first because I was like, you know, Canon from day one, so it was weird to switch. But something about the Panasonic GH5, that camera, it just had such a nice documentary feel. It felt, I don't know, less like most of what I saw on YouTube, just like a slightly different look, and I really liked it. And it also had amazing stabilization that Canon just at that time didn't have. I think they have that now, but it just made everything look so much better. So I ran that thing into the ground and like literally used it until I couldn't anymore. The little thing that turns it on fell off, and I would still dig my nail in to turn it on. It was like actually like tearing my skin.
Wow.
Yeah, it was so beat up.
Commitment.
Yeah, I loved it, but I finally ended up, I was like, you know what, maybe I'll try Sony now. So I got the Sony, I got this guy right here. Which one is it?
A7S III?
Yeah, okay. This is the Sony A7S III. I forget because now I just have the cameras, and I still use this camera a lot because the autofocus is so good. I love that. Like if I need to just put it on a tripod and I'm gonna be moving around a lot, obsessed with the autofocus. The only thing it did for me make more steps with stabilization.
Yeah.
Because the in camera is pretty good, but I would always still need to stabilize it a little bit more with that. They have software.
The Catalyst Browse.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would use that, but then it would just, I don't know, it really slowed things down for me. So I still actually use this a lot for shooting if I need, because I really like this like wide lens too.
Yeah, what lens is that?
14 to 24 Sigma.
Oh, wow.
2.8.
Nice.
So I use this for thumbnails, I'll bring it with, or if I need like a wide shot. Yeah, I still really like this camera, but then the one I've been using the most these days, I went back to Panasonic. I just loved it. I love the colors. Yeah, I don't have to like color correct hardly ever.
Oh, wow.
Just right out of the camera,
nice.
It looks so good. Yeah, this is the GH6 though. I was like, I'll upgrade since I got a new one.
Yeah.
And it's a lot like the GH5, but it just shoots more in like 4K. So a little sharper. And
how's the autofocus?
Yeah. Not really that good.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of people like the GH5. I feel like for travel vloggers in particular, because we tried to go that travel vlogging route on this channel. So when we first started, we were looking at cameras. Everyone was using the GH5, and we were like, wow, this must be a really awesome camera. But we never quite took the plunge. We do Fujifilm a lot for travel. So yeah, I love Fuji. But yeah, the GH5 was supposed to be really good for the stabilization in particular.
Yes. Yeah, you can be in the car and shoot outside. Normally that would look so shaky, you would not want to use the footage, you know, but with the GH5, it still looked really good. That's what made me be like, I love this camera. But yeah, the autofocus really isn't that good. For me, I don't really mind shooting on manual, but I do think most people that bothers them a lot.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there are times where it's tricky, but I will like put something in place. So if I'm doing a sit down shot, I'll go put another tripod in the place, focus it, and then move it. And to me, it's worth it. It's worth that extra step because I just like love how it looks.
Yeah, makes sense.
So that's that camera.
For your lenses, I noticed that you're using an adapter there.
Yeah, because I still really like this Canon lens. I already had it from when I shot with the 5D, and it still just looked, I don't know, so good. There's something about this Canon lens I really love. So it's a Metabones adapter.
So yeah, once you buy the lens, it's like if you can keep using it with your camera, then you might as well.
And I kind of thought maybe one day I might have a Canon that I use again, because I know that they do have, I mean, I haven't really tried it camera in a while, but it's so different from 5 years ago.
Yeah.
There's like the R5 and
I don't even keep up with the models anymore, but yeah, the R7, R6, like they're coming up.
Maybe I should check those out again. It would be so easy for me to switch back because I already have this. But yeah.
How do you find the lens adapter? Are there any sacrifices by using that, or does it work just fine?
Yeah, it works really well for me, and it actually gives you a little bit, well, it crops in just slightly, but it gives you like one stop more of aperture somehow.
Oh, that's
so
nice.
Yeah, it's a little bit brighter, which is actually really cool. It makes it a little heavier, a little tiny bit more bulky, but it is pretty small, so I don't think it's like too much. I think it might mess with the auto. Let me see, does this autofocus?
I've heard that about some lens adapters, that the autofocus can be a little slow sometimes.
Yeah, I don't even know if this one.
But I've heard that Metabones is among the better brands if you are going to get an adapter.
Yeah. Yeah, I really just never use autofocus, so I don't know. Yeah. Even on cameras, like, well, I use it on the Sony because I know it's good.
Right,
I just don't use it on the GH6 because it's like, it's better than it used to be, but it's still, I can't trust it fully. Yeah.
Makes sense.
And then I have one more that I love using. I use this one a lot, the Blackmagic camera. Have you ever used this?
I've not used it, but I've heard about it. I've heard really good things.
Cool. It's so cool. I love this camera. It just, because it doesn't have a flip out screen, I don't use it for everything because then I can't even see what's in focus. But it's really cool for any kind of documentary style footage. It just has such a nice professional look, like very cinematic. it just looks like a documentary. Yeah, I think it looks really cool. I don't have a battery in this one right now, but I use this a lot for B-roll on all the checked-in episodes I was doing. And anytime I'm shooting an interview, I like to use it, or anything that I just want to look like documentary style. I'll use this, I'll bring it and do like some slow-mo and stuff. But yeah, it gets a lot of like questions from people because it's such an unusual looking camera.
Yeah, I love that LCD in the back. It's so big, like you can really see what you're shooting. Like that's nice. But yeah, it looks very different from the other cameras, the other mirrorless cameras.
Yeah, it's really different. It's really cool. And Blackmagic I really like as a company. I actually switched to editing in DaVinci Resolve.
Ah, yeah.
So I'm like fully like a DaVinci girl.
How did you find that transition? Because you were using Final Cut before?
Yeah. It was a slow transition for me. I mean, I edited I had a friend who was like, you need to switch to this. It's so much better than I was using Final Cut a lot. And I was like dabbling in After Effects. So I was familiar with how Adobe works too, but I was just so used to Final Cut. I edited one video in DaVinci and then I went back for months because I was like, I miss Final Cut, it's easier. I still think Final Cut is faster, but DaVinci has amazing stabilization. So if you have a shot that's kind of shaky, their stabilization is better than Final Cut's. It's better than I think Adobe's too, but I can't really confirm that because I don't know for sure. But that, I just started putting all my footage into it before I started editing in Final Cut, like run everything through it. And I was like, I should just start editing in here. And they have a cloud-based system. So for some of my videos, I have another editor rough cut it, and I can just go in, pick up where they left off, send it back to them if I need, and it's really easy.
That's so nice.
Yeah.
I'm still using Final Cut for that reason of I'm just so fast in it. I know how to do things quickly, but my partner, Martin, he does Resolve, and he's been telling me for years to switch, and I keep trying, but I'm like, but I just use Final Cut so much faster. It's so hard to make that commitment.
I know.
But it's on my list of things to do. I do need to transition.
Yeah, but I still use Final Cut if I need to edit something really fast. So I'll sometimes use Final Cut just to edit a vlog, or just if I'm editing like a little TikTok video. But then for my main channel stuff, I use DaVinci because now I am like really used to it. And now I'm used to the features in DaVinci that I can't get in Final Cut. But yeah, when I used Final Cut, I would get so much shade from people that were like very pro Adobe.
Really?
Yeah, and I just think whatever you're faster in, whatever just kind of clicks for you, I think they're both good softwares, and you can still edit really good videos in Final Cut, you know?
I think what Premiere has always been, you got to pay monthly for it.
Right,
And it's like Final Cut's just one flat fee, Resolve is free, or you can pay for it. So I could never get over the price for using Premiere.
I know. I used After Effects for a bit. I still use Photoshop though.
Yeah, same.
But yeah, I know, that is kind of, it's crazy that DaVinci's free. Like, I hype up that one to everyone.
Yeah, that's the best one to start on, and even, just continue doing your professional work on, for sure.
Yeah, it's a little buggy sometimes, it's the only thing though.
That's really why I stopped. Because at one point I tried and I was like, I'm gonna make this work, I'm committed, and it kept crashing on me, losing my projects. And so that's really why I stopped. But I also have an ancient computer. It's like a 2015 MacBook Pro, so it's kind of like, I should probably upgrade the computer and then try it, and then maybe I'll have better luck.
Yeah, I have this weird issue with editing in DaVinci where it won't recognize my microphone. And I do so many voiceovers, so every time I do a voiceover, I do the voiceover in Final Cut, export it, and then bring it into DaVinci. But that extra step ends up, wasting a lot of time.
Yeah.
But DaVinci is always releasing software updates, so I'm sure they'll fix it eventually. Yeah, they kind of remind me of like the Tesla of editing softwares, just because they're just always like really working to make it better.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, except free. Teslas aren't free. But yeah, I like DaVinci. So I feel like I have a good setup. Maybe it's a little too much. Sometimes I'm like, should I sell a camera? Like, I'm showing up to shoot things and I just am like, my back is hurting.
Yeah, so you use all of these cameras, I guess, mostly for your main channel, or do you use it for your vlog channel as well?
Main channel. Oh, my vlog channel, I just use this little guy.
Yeah, what's that one?
It's a Canon M6. So pretty easy to bring around. It's just for comparison, a lot smaller.
Oh, wow. Yeah, much smaller.
Way
I love
smaller.
the look. It looks like a Fujifilm camera almost.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
People always think it's a film camera, which is so funny. They're
It
like,
looks
"Oh
that
my
way.
god, you're
Yeah.
shooting film," and I'm like, "Well, no." Yeah. I also love these little mini tripods. Are so nice.
Oh,
You
they're
can
so
just
cute.
place them anywhere. And then honestly, the camera I probably use the most is my iPhone.
Yeah.
Like, I get so many shots, little B-roll shots for, I guess maybe not the most, but just for vlogs, for even, I'll put it in a main channel video. The quality is perfectly, I think, reasonable. Like, people watch TikTok, they're watching things on their phone, and everyone is kind of used to that quality. So I feel like if you're starting YouTube, if you can get by with an iPhone and a microphone.
That was gonna be one of my questions, is what
Yeah.
kind of gear would you recommend people to start off with? And so even on this channel, like I've always talked about, the Sony cameras, Fujifilm cameras, but I recently started talking about iPhone because I made the switch, and because the more that I use the iPhone, I'm realizing that, hey, that quality is really good and you've got a great camera in your pocket now.
Yeah, it's amazing. I would say getting a microphone though makes it way better, and iPhones do kind of struggle in low light, but it's like if you're starting YouTube and you don't want to buy a camera yet, because obviously that's like an investment, I think starting with an iPhone and just buying like this little DJI mic, or this other company just sent me one, I'll show you guys. So this company just like randomly sent it to me, but it's on Amazon for under $200. But it's like a little iPhone microphone, little lavalier microphone. So you plug this
That is so
part-
tiny.
I know. You plug this into your iPhone. I think I'm just gonna start like bringing this with me everywhere,
Yeah, why not?
because it's so little and the battery lasts a really long time, and the quality, it sounds so good. I almost prefer it to my vlog channel or vlog camera now. So
Nice.
yeah, that's a good tip. That's what I would do if I was starting out and I didn't have the money or want to spend the money quite yet, because you can start testing out, like, are you really invested in YouTube? Are you really gonna like be posting? Because I think a lot of people buy a camera and then they don't really end up even posting a lot of videos. So
Yeah, the hardest thing with YouTube or just any social is just that consistency, I think. It's so easy in the beginning, but it's like, but can you keep it up? Keep going, and that's so hard to do.
it's tricky, but you can do it. If we can do it, you can do
That's
it.
right. Yeah, so I guess, do you use any other accessories to film? Lights or gimbals?
I actually love using drones.
Okay.
Because I do a lot of, I guess I did, I'm not doing as much anymore, real estate stuff, so like cool Airbnbs and getting footage with a good drone. I use a DJI Mavic 3, and they're so fun to use. Like, when I'm recording with a normal camera, it does feel like work. It's fun, but it does feel like work, and it's a little bit tiring, but when I'm using a drone, it literally just feels like a toy. Like, they're just fun.
An expensive toy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a little nervous, so I don't want to crash it, but they've got like good safety features, like the obstacle detection, so like, knock on wood, I haven't crashed mine yet. Yeah.
That's good. Yeah, it was my New Year's resolution last year to learn how to fly a drone, and did not do it. It's still on my bucket list,
yeah.
but it's because we used to have a drone, but Martin crashed our drone, and so ever since then I'm like, oh, I'm a little nervous. Like, actually lost the drone, and so it's like, oh, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
It can go really quickly if you're not careful.
Was it a while ago?
It was a while ago,
Yeah.
actually when we first started the channel. So we've gotten a new drone since then, but it just made me really apprehensive to even try it, because I know how expensive it is, and if my other cameras, if I drop them, I really freak out. So it's like, oh, with the drone, it's like much easier to crash it or break it.
Definitely. I just don't ever fly mine that high.
That's a
So,
good tip.
A lot of what I'm shooting is like a house or me like walking into a house or whatever. So I don't need to shoot like a mountain landscape, because I have had that happen before where I did fly a drone really high and really far, and then I lost connection and was like stressing, but they will return to home.
That's nice.
So
Yeah.
I have found that over time, they've gotten a lot easier to fly and safer, and if you just go slowly, you're usually good to go. But I mean, wind can be an issue, and like if you're in a really busy area, it's tricky. Like when I lived in LA, I would never fly them because it was like, well, I don't even know where you're allowed to.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know. It's a little bit easier here in Seattle, I think.
Yeah.
And then occasionally I'll use like a GoPro.
Oh, which one do you have?
For it. I don't know. I was looking for it the other day. They're so little, so I'm like, where did it go? It's probably in like a coat pocket. I got it within the last year, so pretty.
Okay, maybe the Hero 10 then, 9 or 10 probably. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I really like using those for car videos because you can just like stick it on the dashboard, really easy, and then obviously sports stuff. But like, I most use it for car related things, I think. Yeah.
Gotcha. We use that as our main vlog camera actually, because it's just so small, and the stabilization is so good in GoPros.
Really easy to take with you. I've actually done that before. I've used it as like a little vlog camera for a couple days, and I mean it was easier than bringing this around. That's for sure.
Oh yeah.
One thing I always recommend is to rent some gear before you buy it. That's what I do now. I rented a Fujifilm camera and I actually really did like it, but I like the GH6 a little bit better. But yeah, if you rent it on a weekend, you usually get the whole weekend for a one-day rate. So before you're gonna, drop a couple $1,000s on a camera, you can rent it and see what you think. I feel like that's a good idea because then you can really go test it out in different scenarios. I would rent like 2, honestly, if you can swing that. If you rent it on ShareGrid, it's usually a little bit cheaper too than the camera shops.
What is ShareGrid?
It's like Airbnb for camera rentals.
What?
Yeah.
I should be on there. I didn't even know about that.
It's pretty cool, and it's like usually a bit cheaper than if you're gonna go to like Sammy's camera in LA or something like that. But yeah, that's what I would recommend. That's what I always do. I think it's pretty worth it, or just talking to the people at the camera shops. I also buy used lenses a lot of the time.
I do too.
Yeah, you don't need to buy them brand new, and even cameras, like you don't really need to buy it totally brand new. So I feel like that's a good tip.
I'm planning a video actually. I've been saying this for a couple months, but I swear this year I'm going to do it about how to buy and sell used camera gear. So yeah.
I know, I haven't really sold much camera gear, but I feel like I should. I'm a little intimidated too. I'm like, where do I go to do it?
Facebook Marketplace.
Really?
Yep.
Okay.
It's surprisingly easy.
All right, sweet. I'll do that. Yeah. That's really my tip. Hope it helps someone.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being here on the video. If you guys haven't already checked her out, check out Shelby Church's YouTube channel. I'll have a link down below to the YouTube channel and the vlog channel. But yeah, thanks for watching. See you in the next video.
Yes.